intermediate. If somebody is not done, then you can do elementary and intermediate. It will help you in this chapter. I see. So there are two types of magnets you must be knowing. That there is a natural magnets and then there are artificial magnets. So what are natural magnets? These are the magnets occur naturally in the nature. That's why they're called as natural magnets. And the type of these magnets is called as lodestone. So it's basically how you have stones. This is a type of a stone which is called a lodestone, and this behaves like a natural magnet. This has got two disadvantages. This kind of magnet, since it's a stone, it's of an irregular shape. Like you cannot have a defined shape like a bar or a cylinder, sphere, or something. It will be first thing about irregular shape. Second problem is what that these magnets are generally very weak. They are not very strong magnets, so they may not be useful to us. And because of these disadvantages, now then we came up with what artificial magnets. So we are only discussing few artificial magnets out here in your portion. One of them, the most common, is a bar magnet. You must have seen in your labs also in the school. Then there is a another magnet which is called as a U-shaped magnet. Okay, U-shaped magnet, or rather, it is called as what horseshoe magnet. Why it is called a horseshoe magnet also? Because the shape of the horseshoe is U, not in the shape of horse. Some people write in exam that a horseshoe magnet because the magnet is in the shape of a horse. Then the next one is magnetic compass. You might have seen this. There's a app also called compass or magnetic compass. Most of the phones have also actually now, so you can find out north south easily using this compass. So basically, what is the use of these? To identify the directions and use for the navigation purpose. And the last one is a magnetic needle. So now again, what's the use of a magnetic needle? It is used mainly in the labs and all to identify the polarity of unknown magnets. So say for example, you have some old magnet, you don't know what's the north and south pole, then you can use a magnetic needle and then find out what is the north and the south pole. Okay, guys, now also if you know that this in natural magnets now, uh, they can ask you like give reason why natural magnets cannot be used or why we need artificial magnets. So remember the disadvantage of natural magnets are the advantages of artificial magnets. So you can say that they are of regular shape. And second thing, what that artificial magnets are strong. They are not weak magnets. Okay, now let's continue. Now there are properties. Let's discuss the properties of magnet. So these are again very simple properties of magnets. So first property of magnet is what that they have attractive property. When we say attractive property, it doesn't mean they attract everything. They attract what magnetic material. And what a magnetic material? Any material which will attract to magnet is basically called as a magnetic material. For example, nickel, cobalt, iron, steel, but not stainless steel, just steel. And there's one more material, an alloy rather, which is called as alnico. So what is alnico? Alnico is an alloy of aluminium, nickel, and cobalt. That's why they named it as alnico. So remember, these are the only materials which are magnetic material. Copper, brass, zinc, gold, silver, none of them are magnetic material. Then second property is directive property. What do you mean by directive property? So directive property states what whenever you suspend a magnet freely, okay, whenever you suspend a magnet freely, it will always rest in geographic north-south direction. Geographic north-south. Remember, you have to suspend the magnet freely, okay, and suspend it from the middle, and you just spin it and leave it. It will always come to rest. Every time you spin it, it'll again come back to rest in a fixed defined position only, and that is called what geographic north-south position. That's how you can use magnets to find the direction. In the later part of the chapter, we will also learn that why does it rest always in geographic north-south position only. The next property is that like poles repel. Okay, like poles repel and unlike poles will attract. So like poles will repel and unlike poles will attract. What does this mean now? It means that if you have a north pole and a north pole, they will obviously repel. South and south will also repel. North and south will only attract. Just like you have charges, positive, negative attract, positive, positive repel, negative, negative repel, same way. And the fourth property, I think this property is not in the textbook now, but it is important, that monopoles do not exist. What do you mean monopoles do not exist? It means you cannot have a magnet with just one polarity, remember. You cannot have a magnet with just one pole. I mean, you cannot have a magnet with only north pole or only south pole. It's like head and tail. You will always have a north pole and south pole together. Otherwise, there may not be any north pole or the south pole. So okay, these are the four properties that you need to remember, and they can also ask you some like applications on this. Then next thing now there are two very important terms. The first term that we are doing now is called as induced magnetism. Okay, it's called as induced magnetism. As you can make out from this word, induced means what, it produces magnetism in another material. That is called as induced magnetism. So what do they say? Say out here I have got a magnet. This is the north pole of a magnet. That's the south pole of a magnet. Now, if I get another needle closer to it, so like say for example, say there's an iron nail. I've got closer to it, so it will stick to it. Now the head, okay, the head of this pin now will be which pole? It will be a
South pole.
South pole. It will be always opposite polarity, and the tail of this will become what? North pole. Now, when I'm suspending one more, another needle over here, you will find that one more needle can be suspended. Now, what will be the polarity? This will become south and this will become north. Then again, the next one is what? South and north. So, this one is again a south pole out here, and this is a north pole out here. So guys, these are the three, all these pins out here. So say this is a pin A, pin B, and pin C. Now out of all of them now, what will you find, that the strength of magnet A will be maximum. Okay, the needle A will behave like a magnet, B, C, all of them are magnets now. But A will be the strongest, B will be weaker, C will be even weaker. Now, if you try to keep on adding up pin, it's not that you can put infinite number of pins. Remember, you cannot put infinite number of pins out here. The reason is the strength of the magnet is not infinite. So what number of pins you can suspend out here, it depends upon the strength of the magnet. Or you can say basically, as long as the magnetic force of attraction is equal to the weight of these pins, till then you will be able to put the more and more number of pins out there. Now guys, what we do is that you hold this magnet, hold the pin A. Look here, you have to hold the pin A in one hand and pull the magnet from the other side with the other hand. So when you pull the magnet out, what do you notice? All these pins will all fall together down. What does it prove? That the moment you move the magnet, all these pins A, B, C, they have lost their magnetic properties. So they are not magnets anymore. And that's why we say that induced magnetism is what? Temporary. Very, very important statement that induced magnetism is a temporary magnetism. So the magnetic material will be like a magnet only in the presence of another magnet, like when it is in contact or near it. If you remove that magnet, then this will also lose its magnetic properties. Clear? So I'll just repeat once again the definition, that the temporary magnetism which is acquired by a magnetic material when it is brought in contact or near a magnet. Okay, then it is called as induced magnetism. Now there is another term which will confuse a little bit now, and this term is what? Magnetic induction. So usually they ask you what is the difference between them, between magnetic induction and induced magnetism. Now, what is magnetic induction? So, magnetic induction is what it is a process, you can say. Okay, the process in which a magnetic material acquires magnetic properties is called as what? The magnetic induction. So, the process in magnetic induction and the kind of magnetism what a material acquires, that is called as an induced magnetism. Okay, so that's the difference between them. They can ask you to define each of them, or they'll ask you to differentiate between them. There is just one point of difference between them. That is a
So can you
definition.
repeat?
Magnetic induction is the process in which a magnetic material will acquire the uh, induced magnetism. Okay, like a magnetic material will acquire magnetism from another magnet. That process is called as magnetic induction. Induced magnetism is the, you can say, it's a magnetism itself which is acquired by a material. That's called as induced magnetism. Okay, now next thing, there is a give reason, which is again very important. And in most of the schools now they ask this give reason. The give reason is that explain why induction precedes attraction. So it's just like you have to know the literal meaning of the word precedes. So induction precedes attraction. What does it mean now? What do they say? See, we know when will attraction takes place. When does attraction take place? It will take place between the North Pole and the South Pole, in the opposite poles. But if I have a magnet out here, and out here I just have a piece of iron. So if you know, iron does not have any fixed polarity. Remember, magnetic material do not have fixed polarity. They don't have a fixed North Pole or a South Pole. Now, ideally, if you see, how is it? We know that the attraction is actually between North Pole and South Pole, or South and North. Correct. But now out here, you can see the iron has got no polarity right now. So ideally, there shouldn't have been any attraction only between them. But basically, what happens, that when you get a North Pole of a magnet, any pole of a magnet closer to this iron. So the first step is what, there is an induction which is happening out here. What an induction means? Inducing a opposite pole out here. So that becomes what? South Pole. Now, once it has turned into a South Pole, the South Pole will get attracted to the North Pole. So that is by attraction. Okay, so that's the difference. So that's why they say induction precedes attraction, meaning they say that first induction happens and then attraction happens. So if this induction wouldn't happen, like magnetic induction, then it is not possible that the attraction would take place. So it's very important. Give a reason they can ask you, or just ask, explain induction precedes attraction. Fine, there's one paragraph which is given in your textbook, so you need to learn that paragraph. Now, next thing is, what do you mean by magnetic field? Because now from here, actually, the proper magnetism starts. Otherwise, before that, they were all just simple theory only. So now, first we are starting with magnetic field. Okay, as the name suggests, what do you mean by magnetic field? Magnetic field is a space around the magnet. Okay, say if this is a magnet, North Pole and South Pole. So all that space around the magnet over here, around it, okay, where the magnetic strength is existing of this magnet is called as a magnetic field. So you can imagine, let's say for example, you imagine that you're holding a eraser or something in your hand, which is a very tiny magnet. So around it now, you imagine there's a virtual sphere around it. So that virtual sphere, or like a baseball now, that is basically your magnetic field. So magnetic field is like not just on a paper, it's actually a three-dimensional figure. That's why we say the space around it, right? We didn't say area. The space around the magnet is called as what? Magnetic field. Now, how do they define magnetic field? So say for example, say I've got a compass. If I keep a compass over here, a little far away, it will show me geographic north here. Then you get the compass over here, it will still show you north out there. But see, when the same compass now, when I'm getting it closer to this magnet over here, will it still show me north over here only like this? No. Now it will not show you north over there. You know why? Because now this north is getting attracted by this south. So what do they say? That space around the magnet where a magnetic needle will not rest in its geographic north-south. So this is a geographic north-south. So wherever a needle does not rest in geographic north-south, that is considered to be what? It's magnetic field. So if I had the same compass over here, what would happen? How would your magnetic needle go? It will be like this. See, north will be repelled over here, and their north was attracting. So this is how they define magnetic field, and this is how they find also the magnetic field. Like they'll keep putting compass at different points, keep checking the direction of the needle, and then accordingly they will get it. So this is how the needle will respond. Got it? And if I join all these dots, if you join points, like you just mark them first on a paper and then join them, then you get a magnetic field line. Okay, that's called as what? Magnetic field line. So soon now we'll discuss that next, magnetic field line. So guys, this was about the magnetic field. Now very obvious that magnetic field is a vector quantity. Why? Right? There is different, they get different places. The compass will change its position. Its direction. So that's why we say it's a vector quantity. It depends from place to place. Now, another also very important thing, and probably very obvious to know, that there will be more magnetic strength at the point A compared to point B. Correct? So what can you say? If the distance will increase, magnetic strength will decrease. And as you keep moving away, there could be some particular point. Say, for example, here, I'm just giving an example. It may not be actually happening out there, but just an example. As you keep moving away, what happens? The strength of the magnet keeps on decreasing. And at some point now, the magnet's magnetic field becomes equal and opposite to Earth's magnetic field. Got it? Out here, inside there is what? Magnet's magnetic field. Out here, whose magnetic field is the Earth's magnetic field. But there is some point where these become what? Equal and opposite. And wherever they become equal and opposite, that's the point where there is that point is called as what? Neutral point. I think you can make out from this word only why it's called as a neutral point, because there is no magnetic field out here, guys. Or what I can say, what is the resultant magnetic field at this point? Resultant magnetic field at this point is equal to 0. Exactly. It's 0. There is no magnetic field only because it is equal and opposite. Just like, friends are pulling you from left, some are pulling from right, but if the forces are same, you will stay there only. And if you're not very strong, both your hands might be pulled apart. Got it, guys? So that is about the magnetic field. You have to know the definition of neutral point, and you have to know the most important point, that the resultant magnetic field at that point is what? 0. Here's another question. If I keep a magnetic compass, on that point, what will happen to the magnetic compass? In which direction will it go? It will just keep on spinning.
East-west.
Yeah, no, it will just keep on spinning. Or it will randomly come in any direction and stop. Okay. It'll just randomly stop anywhere. So you keep on, repeating the experiment every time. It will rest in some other direction because there is no magnetic field only over there. So it will not respond only properly out there. Now, guys, first let's see how to draw the magnetic field lines for a magnet. So if they ask you how to plot or how to draw, so I'll show you how to draw these magnetic field lines. So what you have to do, whatever you can see this white screen, imagine that's a cardboard or that's a paper. And on this now, we are placing a magnet out here. So North Pole and South Pole. What you can do now is out here, guys, I'll be sending you one more link of that, another video. You'll watch that. That will also explain you very well. Like it's like the experiments are there basically, which are performed in a lab. And they just taken a very close-up video. That's very good. You'll like watching that. So we have just spread, what you just put iron filings everywhere out here. Everywhere, just spread it. And then what you have to do, you have to start tapping on the cardboard. Now, when you start tapping on this cardboard now, what will you notice? All your iron filings now, they will arrange themselves in some pattern. Okay, and that pattern is something like this, what I'm drawing out here. I'm drawing the lines only directly. Now, very important thing, remember, magnetic field lines start from north to south. They always start from north and they end with south. Outside the magnet. Inside the magnet, what will happen? They will go from south to north. So out here also, they will go from south to north, like this. Again, from here, it'll go what? North to south. Again from here, what it is go from north to south, and then again north to south, and then again here north to south, and so on. So second thing, if you notice that these magnetic field lines, they are always closed, continuous curves. So you cannot have a magnetic field line which just started from here and it did not complete. It is not possible. Though you may find sometime in your textbook that they draw it like this. You know what do they mean by this? It means that this magnetic field line is actually going from here to here. But due to lack of space, they did not draw it. That's why. So I'll still advise you, whenever you draw it in the school exams now, do not draw the incomplete one, which I've shown on the left, those two. Because some teachers will argue that how can you leave a line incomplete? Or you follow your instructions given by your school teachers. Also, second thing, if you notice now, you will find maximum number of lines around this thing, right? Around these poles. They are called as poles. So you can say what, that there is maximum number of lines at the poles. Got it? So poles you can say are more stronger. So if you ever tried now, you take a bar magnet and put it into iron filings. You know what iron filings? Powder of iron. When you just put it inside now, what will you see? A lot of iron filings will be seen at both the ends of the magnet. So it proves that there is a maximum strength at the poles, or you can say there is a strong magnetic field at the poles. Next thing, another property is that they say that if you draw tangent at any point, see this is a little tough property. Say this is the point, and if I'm drawing a tangent at this point, okay, you know tangent, right? Touching the line or circle at one point here. So what do they mean? If you draw tangent at that point, now you get to know the direction of the magnetic field. So if I would have kept a compass over here, look, your compass would have also rested like this only, is what they are telling us. So at any point you are drawing a tangent that basically gives you the direction of the magnetic field. Another very important thing, if you've noticed, that the magnetic field lines, they are not intersecting each other. So they never intersect each other. It's a property. Now let's assume, okay, let us assume that they are intersecting somewhere. For example, just assume. And now if I keep a compass over here, now you know what happens, your compass have to show you two different positions. According to red line, your north is here. According to black line, your north is here. Can you have two different north at the same point? Obviously not. Good enough. So you cannot have two different north at the same point, and that proves that the magnetic field lines can never intersect one another. So they can also ask you this point for give reason why magnetic field lines cannot intersect each other. Okay. Also, as I told you earlier also, that magnetic field lines are what? They are crowded near the poles. So you'll find that there are maximum number of lines near the poles. And if you see now, at the center now, or at the middle of the magnet, it has got the least strength. So the weakest part of the magnet is the center. Very weak magnetic field lines, or you can say as good as no magnetic field lines out there. And that's it's very, very weak at the center. Next thing is what, like now there are a couple of other properties, guys, which you may not understand now. Which will after we do some other part of the chapter, then you'll probably get it better. They just say what, like another property, it states that if you have magnetic field lines like this, you can see how these magnetic field lines, they are uniform, they are equidistant, right? You can see they're at equal distance from each other. So these are called as uniform equidistant magnetic field lines. Also, if you notice, they are what? Parallel to each other. So if you have magnetic field lines of this nature, like this, then they are called as equidistant, uniform, and parallel magnetic field lines. But where do you get this kind of magnetic field lines? In a limited space. Only in limited space. That also I'll explain you later on when we do further the chapter. Got it, guys? And so yeah, these are the properties. And there's one more property. There's one more property that they behave like stretched elastic rubber strings. Like how, let's say for example, you have a rubber string which is stretched, and if you pluck it in the middle, what will happen? Like a string of a guitar, it will vibrate sometime and come back to rest. So they said that even these lines now, for example, right now you have these lines right out here, which I've drawn the uniform ones. If I take another magnet over there in between them, say I'll take another magnet in between them, you know what will happen? If I place a magnet over here in between them, somewhere here, then all these magnetic field lines which I've drawn over here, they always start like vibrating. They'll vibrate and they will come into some new position till this magnet is there. Again, when you remove that magnet, now, those lines will again come back to their normal shape. Okay. So guys, now we will learn about the first. We have to learn about uh, what are the different types of magnets, guys. I mean, the magnetic field lines of different shapes of magnet. So first, we already discussed about a bar magnet. Like how will the magnetic field lines be drawn? Remember, na, they go from where? From north to south, outside the magnet, and inside they go from south to north. I am drawing the magnetic field lines now for a horseshoe magnet. So it's considered like horseshoe magnet. Now they usually have more stronger magnetic as compared to the bar magnet. The reason is what, look at the shape of a horseshoe magnet. So because these poles are closer, what will happen? Because these poles are closer, say North Pole and South Pole, that's why there is more strength around North Pole and around South Pole. So together the magnetic strength becomes greater. Now, how will the magnetic field lines go? So they always go from where? From north to south pole, as I told you. Here also you can draw north to south, north to south. So I've just drawn a few lines out here. Make sure the arrows are marked correctly and also make sure that you do not intersect them. Otherwise, they'll be considered wrong again. See, there could be a line also going from here to here also, like this also is possible. Okay, or going like all the way from here to here. So right now I'm not drawing those big ones out here. Okay, I've just drawn a few simple ones out here. Guys, refer for the same figure. You can also check it in your textbook. It's figure 10.8. Okay, and as I told you, confirm with your school teacher whether you can leave these lines like this halfway or no. Will they allow or not? Okay, because you are drawing incomplete lines, and according to the properties, lines cannot be incomplete. So just confirm with them on how to draw. As next thing, now if you have two poles which are facing each other, okay, let's say here you've got a North Pole and this is a South Pole. So how will the magnetic field South Pole? They will attract, right? They always start from north and they'll go to south. So they'll start from north and go to south out here. That's how they will travel. Okay, if you remember, if it was only a bar magnet, the line would have started from here and gone over there, right? So some lines may be still going from north to the actual south of the magnet, but most of them will go to this south. Why this south? Because it is closer and it is more stronger compared to the other south, because the distance is lesser. That's why. So this is what, opposite poles are facing each other. Remember also one more thing. In your school, you know what they can do to trick you? They might tell you that this is South Pole and this is North Pole here. Got it? So in that case, what happens, your all the arrows will get what? Reverse, basically. So arrows have to always go from north to south pole. One more, guys, last one now, that if these two poles are facing each other, I mean, like poles are facing each other. Let's say, for example, this is a North Pole and North Pole. So remember, if it's a North and North Pole now, these magnetic field lines, they are going to oppose each other like this. It'll go from north to south like this. Got it? And there are chances of a neutral point which is formed in between them. Got it? So I'll just mark, say there could be one more line going out like this here. One more line from here to outside. Like this. Okay, so north and north pole are facing each other. The same thing can also be drawn for south and south. But just remember the difference that I told you. When south and south are facing each other, what will happen? There is going to be, the arrows are going to be other way around then. Right? From here, the arrows are emerging out. There, the arrows will be going into the south pole. Okay. Right now, we are left with just two more things actually. One is about the uniform magnetic field lines of Earth, and then we have to learn about two different cases. We'll just learn about that. Before all these now, we will discuss the evidence of magnetic field lines. I'll do one thing, guys. We'll do the evidence in the again. We'll just rejoin again in the next meeting. There we'll discuss because we'll get disconnected otherwise. Dhruv, I'll put the meeting off. That's fine, na?
Yes, sir. I stopped the recording.
Find the magnet freely. It will always rest in what geographic north-south direction. So the reason it comes in geographic north-south direction is why, okay, why does magnet follow directive property? Because the Earth itself is a huge magnet. So see, I'll just write down first. Magnet, first evidence is what magnet always rests in geographic north-south direction. Now, why does this happen so? So say for example, this is the Earth, and inside the Earth, again, Earth also have its own magnetic field. So if you know, Earth also behaves like a magnet due to the presence of, like you can say, the core. Now, let's say out here, this is the south of the Earth, Earth's magnetic field, and north. I'll repeat once again. These are south and north of the Earth's magnetic field. So now the little confusion will start. There are two different north-south we're talking about. Now, if I place a compass out here, say if I place a compass over here in the, say here on the Earth, how will your compass needle go? The pointer will go up. Why? Because north of your compass will get attracted to what? South. So this is called as what, geographic north. This is called as geographic south. But actually your geographic north is magnetic south, and geographic south is what? Magnetic north. So there are two different north and south. One is of the magnet, Earth's magnets, and one is of the geographic. So what we follow, always you follow in your maps and all in geography and all that, that's about the geographic north-south only. So other than in physics or in this chapter, those magnetic ones are not of significant to us otherwise generally. Okay. So that's it. So they can ask you like, why does Earth, a magnet always rests in geographic north-south? So you have to say that's because the Earth itself is a huge magnet. It gets its magnetic properties due to the presence of the iron or the nickel in the core. And because Earth is also a huge magnet, so the magnetic compass always points towards the Earth south. And that's why it will always give you a definite direction. Second property is the existence of natural magnets. See now, how can natural magnets exist? Okay, that's because of what, like if some piece of iron is buried, for example, say if you bury an iron rod, okay, if you buried an iron rod, after a few years now or after some few months, you iron rod now would have converted into a magnet. Okay, but the condition is what, how do you have to place it inside in the north-south direction? So if you bury an iron rod in the earth in the north-south direction, then that also turns into a magnet. Got it? So this is again another property, that if you keep a iron, any material in this particular direction, then it will also acquire its magnetic properties. Then number 3, the next one is the existence of neutral points. So why are neutral points existing? Because there are two different magnetic field lines. So there will be Earth's magnetic field line as well as of the magnets. And that's why resultant magnetic field at the neutral point is what? 0. Okay, so if there was no magnetic field lines of the Earth, then the resultant magnetic field couldn't have been 0. And number 4, you know how you can make use of this GPS and all in your phones, how it shows you the directions and all. That's because they're also called as what, these when they say the directions now, they're also called as locations are also given in terms of the degrees also. So if you ever saw it technically, now they'll tell you like 48 degree, these many minutes, these many seconds and all that. So those are also called as the coordinates they call. In some movies, they show like they give me the coordinates and also they send them the details of the location. So a magnetic needle will always rest according to the geometric axis. See, what does it mean now? What is basically a magnetic needle? So say a magnetic needle is like something like this. So say this portion is north, the black one or the dark one is north, and this is south. And then here you place the compass. So if you take these to different positions, like if you take it to equator and then you take it to pole, obviously it will be different. So if you take it to the south pole, what will happen? Your needle will rest like this, meaning your north pole will try to go attract to the south. So when you go to poles, it'll try to become vertical. When it's on equator, it will be what? Horizontal. So there is one another picture in your textbook. You can refer that picture and see that in that they have shown the positions, different positions of the needle. So you go to different positions and the needle keeps changing its angle. That's figure 10.6. Okay. And now guys, next thing is about the magnetic field lines of the earth. So to understand the magnetic field lines of the earth, we will discuss the magnetic field lines of a bar magnet. Or wait, I'll draw for the earth only actually. It'll be easier for you to understand. So as I told you earlier, let's say this is the earth and out here, earth, as I told you, earth also behaves like a huge bar magnet. So say south here and north here. So magnetic field line from north will go to where? South. So say it'll start from here and go to this. Again from here it'll go to this. So these are all different magnetic field lines out here. So whatever I've drawn on the right, they also exist on the left, obviously. It's always like symmetrical only. Now guys, see, let's imagine. I mean, obviously, I've drawn a very, very small figure. Earth is too huge and all. So you can imagine what kind of magnetic field lines they'll be having. Now just do one thing, like you keep your focus only on this part which I'm drawing in blue now, like a rectangle, this. So right now, if you see now, how are those magnetic field lines, they are appearing like what, they appear to be parallel to each other. So this is called about, magnetic field line in a limited space. So when we talk about magnetic field line in a limited space of the Earth magnetic field lines, the magnetic field lines are going to be like this, which I showed you earlier. So if you like, if you zoom in this picture and if you look at this part, what I've drawn over here, it will appear something like this only, all these magnetic field lines. How are they? They are equal, they are equidistant, you can say they are uniform. Okay, and these lines are what? Parallel to each other. So in limited space, it will appear like this. So I'll give you an example. We know Earth is a sphere, but when you go to a football field or on a cricket ground, it looks flat. So that's a very small point, small space or limited space of the Earth, and that's why it looks like it is flat. Okay, imagine you are outside the Earth in space and you're looking at Earth, then you can make out it's a sphere. But whenever you talk about a very small space on the Earth, like limited space, it appears to be what? Flat. Exactly same way, what happens when you talk about magnetic field lines of a limited space, like for example, in your house, in your room, if you plot now, you will get this kind of magnetic field lines, these ones, the parallel ones. Okay, so this is how the magnetic field lines in a limited space. Okay, guys, see now this thing is really interesting. What we are doing now, they have given a lot of all those what you call the full explanation is given in the textbook, but you don't need to by heart all that explanation. You have to only learn the diagram, guys, of this. So see, uh, first I'm showing you the what will happen. What will happen to the magnetic? How the magnetic field lines will appear if you place north pole of a magnet. If you place north pole of a magnet in geographic north, meaning what basically north pole of a magnet is facing what? Geographic north. So let's see first. I'm drawing first what I'm first drawing the magnetic field lines of the Earth. So how are the magnetic field lines of the Earth? Look, I'll just draw. These are the magnetic field lines of the Earth, as we already discussed. They are equidistant, then they are parallel, and they are uniform. So this is how they are supposed to be. But now what we are doing is, what I'm doing is, and this is your geographic north also, guys. That also you need to mark. I'll just show. We will just mark that this is your geographic north and south like this. Now over here, what we are doing is we are placing a magnet over here now. Say out here in between somewhere like this. So this is your north pole of a magnet. This is your south pole. What was there at the bottom? This was what your magnetic north, and it is geographic south. Guys, this is what your magnetic south and geographic north. Now, when the magnetic field lines are coming from down, let's say from the Earth, there is a magnetic field line coming because it's a north pole, right? So magnetic field line comes from here, but then it gets attracted to the south, so it goes like this. When a magnetic field line starts from here, then it gets attracted to the south, so it will go like this. So all those lines which are coming from here, they actually go and get attracted to what, to the south pole of this magnet. Okay. Now, what about the magnetic field lines which are given out from the north of this magnet from here? Where will they go? So they will go towards what? To the magnetic south, because there is a south over there which will pull it. So all these lines will go out there. Guys, look, this is how the magnetic field lines will go. So guys, this diagram is definitely very difficult. You need to draw it like 4-5 times to get a good hang of it. So you need a lot of practice for this one. One second, I'll just draw it once again here. Some of the lines got erased. So these are the magnetic field lines which are going from north of a magnet to the south of the Earth's magnet. But there will be some line which will come from north of the magnet to south of the magnet. So I'm drawing those ones also now. Now see, now this something interesting happens out here. Look. Now, when these lines are going from here, which I've just drawn right now, from north to south. Once again, I'll just tell you, I'm talking about these lines, which are going from north to south out here. But you can see from here also there are lines going upwards. So because of these two different lines, okay, because of these two different lines opposing each other, what will happen, see the line which is farther away from here, over here, it will be pulled towards the magnet. See, there is a line starting from here. I'll just draw it. See, the line coming from here, it will be pulled towards a little bit and then it will again go back. There's another line which is pulled inside and then again it will go out. So same thing can happen, guys. See, all the lines will not get pulled. So some of the lines will get slightly pulled and then they will be again able to come out. One second. So it will come from here, it will go that way and then out. From here also it will come, go towards it and then again out. Notice you have to also mark the direction of these lines. And if you are missing out the arrows out here, just like the ray diagrams, it will be considered wrong because these arrows have got a lot of significance out here. So okay, this is obviously not a neat diagram. You have to draw extremely neat in your exams. Whatever green lines I've drawn at the bottom, those you do not need to draw in the exam. That I just shown that there were already magnetic field lines and how they got distorted. Okay, because of the presence of another magnet. Clear, guys? So this was what, north pole of a magnet facing what? I'll repeat once again, guys. This is north pole of a magnet facing what? Geographic north, we can say. Okay, north pole of a magnet facing geographic north. Now we'll do another diagram where we are showing what, we are showing south pole of a magnet facing geographic north. So I'll write here south facing geographic north. Let's see now how things will change because your south is facing geographic north. So first what I'm doing is I'm drawing those green rays first in green color. Meaning what are those rays? Those lines, those are the Earth's magnetic field lines. So 1, then out here say 2, 3, all these. Okay. Now, so let's place a magnet over here now. So guys, as I said, we are doing what? South facing geographic north. So let's place a magnet in such a way that the south is up. So that's your south and north. This is your geographic north, magnetic south. This is your geographic south and magnetic north.
Sir, isn't it ulta?
नहीं बराबर है ना geographic north is only your magnetic south ना
Yeah.
right, we are doing only ulta na I said na south is facing geographic north now so we place the magnet only ulta if you would invert the magnet now, you'll go back to the previous diagram. So see now what happens, when the magnetic field lines are coming from magnetic north, right? So this line is coming from here, say magnetic field line. Will north and north attract or repel, guys? It will repel. So
Repel.
because it repels, yeah. So what will happen, this line from here will come like that, and then it will go like that, repel and then go here. Same even this will get repelled, it'll go like this and then go out there. So whatever lines are coming, they will repel and they will go out from here like this. Clear? So we'll mark the arrows also out there to show they are going in this direction. Okay. Now guys, next thing. So your magnetic field lines are going from where to where? From north to south for the magnet. So those will go as it is only like this, from north to south. So that's how they are going. So now what I've done very few rays actually, lines out here, and it's a little slippery here. I'm drawing with a stylus. So okay, so this is how it will appear. Guys, one second. Okay, let me complete this first. I forgot one very important thing in the last one. So guys, see out here now, what happens is that there are neutral points. So this spot here and this spot, they are called as neutral points. Means what, if you place a magnetic compass over there, it'll just keep on spinning. So where is neutral point actually supposed to be, it is on the axis. Like if it's symmetrical figure, it will be on the middle, on the axis of this magnet. Across what? North, south. But see, where were the neutral points in the previous diagram? I forgot to tell you that. That was very important. Out here, the neutral points are what, they're east, west. Like over here, you'll find the neutral points. Out here, 1, and say here, 2. Got it? And so you can see here the neutral points are what? Across east, west. And in the next diagram, what we did, it's what? Where is it? It's a north, south. Got it? So guys, this finishes the chapter. You can stop the recording.
Okay, sir.